Dreamworks' newest movie, The Wild Robot, is out in theaters this weekend. Should you go see it? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, Colonels. I just got back from seeing The Wild Robot, a movie that has been pretty highly anticipated ever since I saw the first trailer for it, and you saw some of the visuals, and it's like, wow, DreamWorks is really cooking up something special here. I mean, you're talking close to Pixar type animation, which DreamWorks is typically known for more of their stories, more than their visuals, but their visuals are still top notch. So real quick before I dive into this review, just know that there are going to be spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, save this video, do whatever you gotta do, and then come back later so you don't have any spoilers going into the movie. But if you have seen the movie, consider subscribing so you don't miss any other reviews or reactions or anything like that. And let's dive into The Wild Robot. So the movie starts off with a robot named Roz, who is kind of like accidentally dropped on an island where, with a bunch of other robots, I think there's about like 5 to 6 robots that she's dropped off with, but all of them are in not working condition, and one of the local animals just happens to turn on Roz, and she is a task robot. She must fulfill any task that is asked by her human or her operator, whatever you want to call it. When she lands on this island, she just scours the whole island for someone to give her a task. She keeps trying to find who her owner is. And, you know, typical robot stuff like beep boop, I don't know how to do this, and I don't know what love is, and I don't know what a feeling is, and what is scared, and she doesn't really understand what's happening. Early on in the movie, though, she gets chased by this bear who eventually makes her stumble down this hill and land on this mother goose's eggs. And I guess she's not there because one of her eggs, most of them all get crushed, but one of them does survive, and it's the weak link, with as they call it in the movie, of the bunch, and they eventually end up naming it Brightbill. Now, Brightbill, the first thing Brightbill sees is Roz, so then it kind of makes that emotional attachment to her, not knowing that its actual mother is supposed to look a lot like it and is not a robot. Along the way, they also meet a fox named Fink, who at first is just trying to get a meal in and really doesn't care about anybody else because he hasn't really had a family. But as things progress through the movie, all three of them kind of form their own family, as they're also trying to prepare Brightbill for the winter, because he must learn to fly, swim, and eat all before the fall, or the winter I should say, so that he can migrate with the rest of the geese. So the first thing, obviously you know that I'm going to say this going in, the movie has beautiful animation. I mean, there were multiple times where I was like, wow, the colors and the use of just like eye movements and hand gestures and really cool robotic stuff is really smooth, really crisp, but it also plays into like how nurturing and how Roz develops from just a soulless robot to like a very caring, loving person. The one thing I do want to mention that's not really talked about as much in the movie is when this takes place, because they hint at it a little bit through the use of the company that created Roz, and it is very far in the future, so much to the point where they have like it kind of looks like Meet the Robinsons a little bit, and you'll see like these robots go to homes and they help people, but it's a very futuristic society. And I thought that was cool that like they didn't need to press on it because that's not what the movie's about, but it was cool to see that like they did kind of give us some answers. Kind of near the third act of the movie, there is a line that's talked about where they say that if Roz wouldn't have, you know, accidentally killed the mother of this goose, that because, you know, it's only an average mom goose, right? She would have raised Brightbill to become, you know, what he could, but he was, I don't want to say like the ugly duckling, but he was the outlier. He was meant to be small and he probably wouldn't have made it. They then go and say, because of Roz and her ability to teach things in such an efficient way, that Brightbill is able to, you know, migrate eventually with them when it happens. And only thanks to her was he able to do that. And I think that's really sweet, because although, you know, there's this whole, like, touchy subject about, like, oh, you're not my real mom, like, when eventually Bright Bill finds out. But he wouldn't have survived without her. And I think that's really cool. Not only would he have not survived, like, just by himself, but even with his mother's help, like, his actual mother, I just really love that idea that they, like, dived into that a little bit. Another cool detail is at the very beginning of the movie, all of the animals fear Roz. She walks near them, they run away. She's, like, trying to interact with them. But there's this whole thing, even after Bright Bill takes off with the migration, they still do, like, there's like a half an hour left of the movie after that, where Roz, like, it's winter, but it's a really harsh winter, and, like, a lot of the animals aren't gonna make it through. And the shelter that they, you know, that Roz made during, like, the fall for her and Brightbird and Fink, they use it to help all of the animals that are, like, gonna die and bring them together to the heat. And they all, like, come together and really trust Roz. And I just think that was a beautiful scene. You kind of heard me talk about this, but they do use a lot of lighting, especially, like, towards the end, and, like, to kind of show intensity. It felt very Spider-Verse-y use of colors at some moment, but also felt like its own unique style. It's just like, there was one part where, like, the flame, they were trying to, like, burn down the forest, the company that was looking for Roz, and the use of flames and just, like, it wasn't just red fire, it was like almost like a scarlet. It was really cool. A character that I didn't think I would care much about was easily one of the characters I probably cared the most about, which is Finks the fox. And, you know, he starts off as just, like, this very uncaring, whatever kind of guy, smug. And you get little pieces about how he never really grew up having much of a family, and that's why he is the way he is. And watching him come full circle with Roz and Bright Bill, it's really sweet. It's really sweet. And he actually becomes the one to, like, step up and say, like, that they need Roz. And I really love that. But most of all, I just felt like the movie stayed interesting the entire time. Right when I thought, I was like, okay, like, but every time I thought it needed to get a little bit more interesting, it did. It picked right up at a new spot, and they had, like, a couple of time jump moments in the movie, but it was at the perfect time. It was the perfect time for a time jump. There was nothing to tell more in that moment, and everything just pieces well really together. Also, I will comment, a lot of the stills in this movie, like little images and stuff, really good. I'll try to use one of them for the thumbnail for this video. Really cool artwork, and I even got, when I went in, they gave us this little, like, I'll show you. It's like a wild robot kind of thing that you can build. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was really neat. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys thought if you do plan on going to see the Wild Robot this weekend. You know, where does this kind of compare with the other Dreamworks movies for you? I know for me personally, I think Kung Fu Panda 2 is my favorite Dreamworks movie at the moment. This is kind of probably going to be maybe in my top 10. I could definitely see it making my top 10. It's just really good, really sweet, really great animation. You have to see it for yourself, because even I wasn't completely sold on it. Yeah, I'm really, I would probably even go see this again. So let me know what you guys all thought about the movie, and leave those thoughts down in the comments so I can kind of interact with them. And make sure you stay tuned for probably a updated Dreamworks ranking of all of the Dreamworks movies. Until then, guys, peace.